Well, Happy New Year and welcome to the first Wildcat Coaches Show of 2025 and our very first guest. By the way, we're coming to you from Young Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram here in Morgan, Utah. Beautiful Morgan, Utah, snow-covered Morgan, Utah. It's just a little way up the highway on I-84. Come on up here and check out all the beautiful cars that they have. Come up, go to the Morgan Cafe, have a little lunch, come over, shop for a car. You'll love it. By the way, a Morgan resident, Summer Willis,
yes,
joining us here. You're our first guest of 2025. Aren't you thrilled?
I'm excited.
Oh, I can tell.
Excited.
I know you're excited. This is thrilling.
Yes.
It's so good to have you with us. Summer is it true this is your 25th year as the director of the Spirit Squad?
Yeah, this is actually going on my 26th season with the
I was going to
Wildcats.
say, yeah, because you were here at Weber State before I got here in 98.
Yes, I was.
So it's almost 27 years, isn't it?
Yep, I started in the fall of 1998. So.
Wow. Where have the years gone?
I don't know.
Where have they
I
gone,
don't know.
Summer?
I don't know. It was just.
But
like
you look the same.
It was just like yesterday.
You
we
look
were
the
beating
same.
North Carolina in that first ever championship win. And
That was a lot of fun.
On March 11th, my birthday.
Is that true?
That was my first year working here, so we set the bar right at the top.
For you kids out there who don't know this, Weber State defeated North Carolina in basketball at the NCAA tournament. It was kind of a big deal at the time. It still is a big deal.
It was just a little, you
Yeah,
know.
it's a big deal. And you were there.
I was there.
And
was
the
in
Spirit
crowd.
Squad was there.
First year
Yeah.
on the job.
And you thought it was going to be like that all the time.
I thought that was going to be every year.
Every year we're going to go to the tournament. We're going to beat the third seed. We're going to be on national TV all night, overnight on ESPN. And so tell me something. How far has what you're doing come in the 26 years now that you've been doing this?
Yeah, it's came a long way. I think that moment that we're talking about set the tone that so from then on, I always believed we could do anything.
Mm-hmm.
We could go out there and we could beat the big teams. And that was kind of the early vision, is that we were going to build a program. We were going to start competing, which and a lot of the universities in the state of Utah didn't do at the time. We needed to set ourselves apart and be a competitive cheerleading and dance program. And we started early, built that for the first 5 years, and then we started competing in the West Coast. Did pretty well out there. We were, had built a good program. We were ready to head to our first ever national championship. It wasn't until 2008, and came in. We won third place, and then the very next year in 2009, we won our first ever national championship title. So
the first of many.
The first of many. But that same vision of that year one, I think, is something that I took with me throughout my whole career. Is that I love the underdog. I think you can do anything. You just got to get the right people and have the right vision. And that's kind of what it was built off of, actually.
So how do you do that?
How do you do that?
How do you do that?
You just don't give up.
Simple $64 million question. How you do that?
I don't know. I think it's just you got to have the passion for it. And you got to I think there was so many obstacles. There's so many reasons to give up. But you just got to stay with it and find the real, true, reason you're doing it. It's maybe not the trophies, and if you stick to that, that's kind of been what's kept me going for so long. And it's been the people, it's been what we're trying to do, it's been our mission, and we've just did the work.
So are you doing this with local kids for the most part?
Maybe when we started, but not now. We almost, for the cheer team, it's probably 70% of the kids are from out of state.
Well, your name and your reputation has gotten out there, so they come flocking to Weber State now, right?
Yes.
And I'm not trying to be facetious about that. I'm serious.
No, and it's one of those rare things where people are like, Weber who? And we are a recognized national name. If you're going and talking to anybody that knows anything about cheerleading, dance, they're going to hear the name Weber State. They're going to know who we are. We've built a huge name for ourselves out in the nation, and not just in the nation, in the world. We have, I think it's 11 international students on the team this year.
Really?
Which is just so amazing to see after all these years, have it evolved from in-state now we're getting out in the nation. Here we got all these kids coming to Weber State, and then to have everyone, like people watching us all over the world. They see a lot through social media, and they just want to be a part of that. And they get their visas, come over here and go to school. Great opportunity for them. But it's been really cool to see and mix all these cultures and these people together with just that vision and love for what we do. And it's been really awesome.
I would imagine the motivation for each of them is different, but everybody likes to be with a winning program. Everybody wants to be somewhere where they're going to be challenged, and everybody wants to be somewhere where you can be successful, and you know there's a track record of success. I can go here, we can be successful. It makes the experience all that much better. Yeah, definitely. They all have their reasons to be here. It is what they put into it. There's no, like you said, there's no magic formula. But if they come here looking for the right things and they do the work and put it, what they put into it is exactly what they're going to get out of it. Do they have different styles that they bring?
Yes, there's some different techniques and styles, especially from the international students. And that's kind of fun when we just get everybody this big mixing bowl here and try to teach them the Weber way and bring everyone together as a team.
You need to get some Brazilian dancers.
Some Brazilian
dancers would be amazing. Have you been to Carnival? Have you ever seen Carnival?
I haven't.
Oh my gosh. They don't stop dancing. I mean, it goes on for weeks. They dance. It's incredible. I'm exhausted.
We do need some flair. So.
Hey, we're chatting with Summer Willis, who is the Spirit Squad Director at Weber State University, 26 years now. This may sound like a dumb question, and I ask a lot of them. I'm an old guy, and I remember back in high school and junior high school, the cheerleaders, pretty girls, popular girls, that type of thing, and they came to the events. They came mostly to football and basketball, and they cheered, but there wasn't this level of performance back then, was there? Am I remembering things wrong?
No, cheerleading has evolved. Cheerleading has definitely evolved. A lot of people still think it's, have their stereotypes of what it is, which is a part of what we do. Yes, we love going to all the Weber State athletic events and cheering on, being on the sidelines and performing in front of the crowd and, bringing up school spirit. But there's also a whole nother side to it. They have a craft. They have, they've been working, most of them, all of their lives in gymnastics, and then you go into high school and they train. We have cheerleading is now a sport in the state of Utah. And they train and they work on all these things in order to get to this level. And then here we are at the collegiate level. And if you haven't really taken a moment to watch how it has evolved, watch the skills that they're doing. Stunting is a big portion of what we do, which is just a lot of strength, balance, timing, technique, everything all combined. The other part is tumbling gymnastics, which you see, all the gymnastics teams out there. We have a lot of our kids that have roots back in gymnastics where they have the balance, the strength, the, tumbling technique. And then you put that all together. Cheerleading, we do pyramids, which you have to do all together as a team. And
scares me to death.
And stack people on top of each other. And then we have basket tosses, all the aerial skills and flips and things that they do in the air. So it's just, it's so fun to watch and try and watch it from a different angle. And I think your eyes will be opened.
I think my eyes were opened about 15 years ago when I turned on the TV one day and ESPN was televising a national championship competition. And I thought, when did cheerleading become this competitive event and get this attention from ESPN? And I think probably that's helped as well. Don't you think? Oh, yeah.
It's definitely, there's been a huge movement in collegiate. There's 2 national championships, one in January and one in April. And then it's also evolved onto the world level. There's a U.S. national team that goes out and competes against all the different countries. It's online to become, they've been working hard to make it an Olympic sport. And there's been a lot of evolution there. So, it's just really, the competitive side has really grown.
And Waldo works for you too, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Waldo, he's under your supervision,
he's one of my
right?
employees, yeah.
He's one of your guys, right? Yeah. Waldo's won some titles,
He
hasn't he?
has won some titles too, yeah. We've won a couple in a row, so it's been fun to build that character.
Does that come down to personality as much as what he's also doing in terms of stunts and tricks and things like that?
Yeah, their personality is on the score sheet. There's a few different things, but when we went out and won our championship, I definitely think we had a great mascot with a lot of talent. He was very, very entertaining and had a lot of great skills.
I'm going to keep this in mind because when I'm done with this gig, I'm going to come see you. I would like to be Waldo. You know,
that can be arranged.
I've got some time on my hands now, Summer. I do.
That can be arranged. Be careful what you wish for. Be
I
careful
know,
what you wish for. It's a tough job. It's a tough job.
I already have
you only
enough
get
aches
a little
and
bit of
pains.
vision, and
Yeah.
it's pretty hot, and they have to.
Is there an air tank inside that thing?
They wish
They
They
wish.
wish there was one along with the air conditioning unit.
I think I'll pass. So you've got the cheer team, you've got the dance team, you've got the co-ed team. You got any other teams?
No, we do.
Is that about it?
We have a large co-ed, a small co-ed, and then our dance team and the mascot.
And how many athletes do you have in the program, all told, doing all these things?
On each one of those teams, there's about we can compete about 20 on each team with alternates, a handful of alternates with each one too.
And so is it competitive, like is in other sports where, this person's vying to get into this and has to beat out somebody else to do that?
Yeah, we can only put 20 athletes out on the mat at a time. That is why we also created our second co-ed team, just because we did have a lot of people coming into the program, and we wanted to. Also, there's a different type of athlete. On the small co-ed team, we have some all-girl athletes, which is stunting, which is very common here in the state of Utah, and we wanted to build that side of things. So we created more opportunity. But yes, going back to your question, it is very competitive. Even just getting onto the mat, we really try to push everyone to be their best and build depth. So maybe it's not this year that they'll be on, but they're working towards next year and hoping they keep that in mind. But stuff happens. You need great alternates.
You never know.
We got to roll deep in order to keep doing the things that we want to do. So we do have athletes that will not compete. They'll be alternates for the year for competition, but they're working the entire time. So, but yeah, it is hard. It definitely makes it, it's hard when you can't compete everybody, but
Brings out the best.
but I think we're ready to we have the depth that we need, so that helps us to be successful year after year.
Somebody watching this who wants to get involved, how will they get in touch with you?
They can email me, swillis@weber.edu. Look
That's
us up
two
on.
L's, right?
Yes, it is two L's.
Willis.
Yes.
Okay.
It can be found on our website. Also follow us at Weber State Cheer and Weber State Dance. We post all the big things that we have going on. We do regular clinics. We have some fun events that we do. So I think following us is the best and most immediate way to find out about those. And also get information. You can message us through our Instagram, but that's probably the best way is following us on Instagram.
Okay. Well, I'm going to get in shape.
Yeah, you better. If
I'm
you're going to be the mascot, you better
be the mascot.
You better start running.
Wildcat Carl. I mean,
you better start running.
Who better to be Waldo than me?
Yeah, you are the Wildcat.
I hope I'm able to stand up at that point in time in my life. Summer, thanks for coming by and joining us here at Young Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram here in Morgan, Utah. Your hometown.
Yeah, my hometown.
Your hometown.
I also get the opportunity to drive one of the Gladiator Jeeps, and I love it. So I just want to put a good shout out to Young, and they've been so generous in helping out our coaches, and we really appreciate them. So
it's a sweet ride. You can get one of your own. Come on up here to Morgan
can.
and check them out. We've got a beautiful car behind us right here, one of the Rams right here. So come on up and check it out here at Young Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Morgan, Utah. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk more with Wildcat coaches here on the Wildcat Coaches Show.
Go Cats.
30 years at the Young Automotive Group has taught me that a job can be more than just a paycheck. As I've witnessed the expansion of the Young Automotive Group, I've also seen my children grow, and there's a sense of symbiotic pride in that growth. Working for a company that invests in my career and me as a father is everything I could ask for. I don't just work here, I belong here. And for that, I am endlessly grateful to be a lifelong member of the Young Automotive Group family.
Welcome back to the Wildcat Coaches Show, coming to you from the Young Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram store here in Morgan, Utah. Morgan, of course, the home of the great Lindsey Anderson, who's in the Weber State Hall of Fame, who's in the Utah Sports Hall of Fame, who's in the Big Sky Hall of Fame. soon to be in the Morgan Hall of Fame.
That Morgan Hall of Fame was my first, actually.
Oh, that was your first.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Has baseball called you?
No.
The NFL?
No.
NBA?
Not yet.
They all have Hall of Fames. Lindsey.
They do.
They do have Hall of Fames. How about the Missouri Hall of Fame?
Probably not that
You
one.
weren't there long
I wasn't
enough.
there long enough.
You weren't there long enough.
No.
Lindsey coached at my alma mater. I'm a University of Missouri graduate, and so I'm very proud to know you and know that you're in some respect a Tiger to some degree.
To some degree,
You're
yes.
really a Wildcat.
Yes.
Yes, but you did spend some time with the Tigers.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll
absolutely.
give you that.
Yep.
You got some gold and black.
I
swag and
did
gear?
keep a couple things.
Okay.
I did. Yep.
All right.
Because we still watch Missouri basketball games and football games and follow it as best we can.
Hooray, hurrah, Mizzou, Mizzou.
Yep.
There you go. So
MIZ.
So what? Yeah, ZOU. So what? Is this just a dream come true to come back to Weber State?
Absolutely. I feel very fortunate that I had the path that I did where I was able to coach at a few different schools before coming back to Weber, because I felt like I grew as a person, as a coach, as a mom, all of it. So I feel forever grateful for those opportunities. But Weber is always where my heart has been, where my story started. And so when the opportunity came to come back, it was a pretty easy decision for us.
You were coached by what? Chick and Jim?
Jim primarily, Chick a little bit with Steeplechase.
Okay. And this is Jim Blaisdell we're talking
Yep.
about, and the one and the only Chick Hislop.
Yep.
Yeah, you must have great stories,
A
especially
few.
of Chick.
I mean,
Not
yeah.
that we could tell here.
Well, probably not.
No, I don't think so.
The men would have way more than the women, but there are certainly some memories.
So Chick didn't try to wrestle or arm wrestle with you?
No.
No. He let you go with that.
Yep.
Steeplechase now. That made me think. Were you a fan of Henry Marsh as a kid growing up?
I wish I could say yes. I wish I knew who that was when I was growing up, but I didn't even know.
You know now, right?
No, absolutely now.
Yes.
But I had no idea what the steeplechase was until I got to college.
Really? And then they told you, you're going to run around a lot, you're going to jump over this, and you're going to land in this puddle, and you're going to do that. And you
Yeah.
said, what?
Well, actually, it was more like all the freshmen, you get to try out all the stuff during the winter training and see if it's something that you can possibly do, and then we'll race you in the spring, and if it sticks, then we'll keep doing it.
And it
stuck.
suited you, yeah.
Yeah, it did.
It suited you. And Henry Marsh, by the way, ran in the Olympics. He is from Salt Lake City, Utah. I know Henry from way, way back. He and I don't know where he is now today, but he was a great, great runner. Ran in Los Angeles in, I think, 1984, I believe it was.
Yep.
Yeah, so as a little girl, you weren't even aware of all that, huh?
Well, I was born in '85, so I
Well.
wasn't even around yet.
Yeah, but you could read the history books.
Yes, I could, but as a
No.
little girl, I wasn't aware.
But who does that? Nobody does that. Nobody does that. So here in Morgan, what were your events?
Well, we moved to Morgan when I was going into 7th grade. So I was primarily a soccer player all through that time. But I did run track and I did run cross-country meets. I didn't ever do any of the cross-country training. But I did the 800, the mile, and the 2 mile in high school.
Is it fun?
That's a complicated question for runners.
I know. See, I'm a swimmer, so I can sort of relate in a way, but I see the runners and I see they're tall, they're lanky, they're in great shape, and they're running in a group together, but nobody's smiling and nobody's laughing, and I think this looks hard.
It is hard. It's a hard sport. And I think that the things that make it fun are the people that you're running and training with and those relationships that you build. And when you start to see all that hard work pay off, then it starts to become more and more fun when you see success from races and workouts and other parts of it.
You kind of have to be a glutton, don't you?
You do, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep,
I'm a glutton for punishment.
Yep.
No, and if you're like I was, and I think I'm like a lot of other athletes were and still are, you just feel this sense of you have to be doing what it is that you do day in, day out, because somebody else is doing it. They're training, and you're almost compelled. And if you don't run that day, or you don't swim that day, or whatever it is, you just don't feel right.
Yeah. There is some realness to how you do feel when you get finished with a hard workout, a run. You know, you do have those endorphins, and so I think that part does keep you coming back as well. But you do have to have a lot of self-motivation and be able to get yourself out the door and start to form those habits before you start to really get the payoff. Getting in shape is absolutely the worst part of it.
Hey, this is a program that you've come back to, and you know it well, having been in it. I mean, it's got a tremendous reputation, not just in this country, but around the world. And it's a lot to uphold, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, you know, be here if I didn't think that I could come in and make a difference. But there's been a long history of success in track and field and cross country at Weber State. So living up to that legacy is certainly something that, you know, maybe makes me a little bit nervous sometimes see if I can do it, but also gets me excited because I believe that we can continue to move forward and continue to make it the best that we can as well.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. I mean, and this is kind of a question that's always been asked to athletes who are great in their own career and then come back and coach. I remember Magic Johnson had this issue when he was coaching the LA Lakers in basketball. Is it tough for someone who is as good as you were to come back and coach other people who may not have the same skill level or the same level of dedication that you had? You know what I mean? Absolutely.
And that can be one of the hardest things to do because I feel like you know, when you do reach a certain level in an individual sport, especially like this, you have dedicated so much to it, and you've lived through a time where that was a lot of your life, you know. But I think for me personally, because running is different than some of those other sports, and I think that you go through a personal journey with running, and you do go through a lot of doubt, you go through a lot of, you know, overcoming self-confidence issues and just a lot of glutton for punishment. Like you're putting yourself in through these really hard workouts. And so I think from me coming from an athlete point now back to a coaching place, I think because I went through a lot of that, it gets me excited when I help an athlete go through that and do things that they never thought that were going to be possible for them. So that's exciting for me.
Sure.
But sometimes it is frustrating when you're working with an athlete, just doesn't seem quite as motivated as you're more motivated for them than they are for themselves. Luckily, that's kind of why we go through a recruiting process and we try to kind of figure that out before we bring them on. But for the most part, I feel like we have done a pretty good job. We're not always going to get it right, but we've done a pretty good job at bringing the right athletes on that are going to work hard and reach their potential and hopefully do more as well.
Assistant track and cross country coach Lindsey Anderson joining us at the Young Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram dealership up here in Morgan, Utah, which is Lindsey's hometown, right in the neighborhood right here. You left the neighborhood to go to Beijing in 2008.
I did.
And I was there too.
Awesome.
So I'm curious to see what your experience, you were the first Olympian, right, from the Big Sky or Weber State?
From Weber State,
in the Summer Games.
Yep.
Yes. So that's a real feather in your cap.
Yeah.
What was your experience like in Beijing at those games?
It was, I mean, I was only, I can't remember exactly, 22 at the time, so I was still pretty young, maybe 23, but it was kind of an incredible experience in the sense that it was something that I never dreamed was a possibility for me. So being able to go through the process of even just getting all the gear and my favorite part was just the Olympic trials, because that's the race where everything kind of came together for me to just be perfect to actually qualify. And then once I qualified, it's kind of you're living almost in this like surreal time where things are happening faster than you're able to process it. So I feel like the older I get and the more removed I am from that time, the more I appreciate that it actually happened and that I was able to go experience that. But being in China, getting to be around all the other athletes, going to the Olympic Village, getting to go to several of the other sports, it was just an incredible experience, one that I'm very, very grateful that I had.
You got to run in the bird's nest.
Yep.
Wow.
What
a place.
Yeah, a very cool track.
Yes, very cool. And did you march in the opening ceremonies?
I did.
You'll never see anything like that again in your life, will you?
No,
It was phenomenal.
Yeah, and the hottest I think I've ever been.
Yes, and the muggiest.
Yep,
Yes.
yep.
And the air quality wasn't, let's just say, wasn't the greatest.
It wasn't, but how everybody was talking about it, I thought it was going to be worse. So in my mind, I was like, oh, this isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So,
Right.
it was fine.
Do you remember the experience of being there more than the actual competition itself?
A little bit, yeah, because I mean, the race lasted 9 minutes, and everything else was just soaking everything in, I think, and it was a very, very cool experience to be able to race in that atmosphere and just be a part of that. I would say that I was a little bit disappointed because I really wanted to qualify for finals, and I missed qualifying for finals. So I walked away from the racing part of it a little bit disappointed, but still had run my second fastest time ever in not so great conditions. So,
Right.
So I would look back, and I'm pretty pleased about it. But everything else that we were able to do and the experiences that we had are certainly the things that have stuck with me.
As you coach athletes, I mean, one of the best things a coach ever said to me was, forget about whatever time it is. You can have goals and all that. Just do your best. And if you do your best, you can walk away from it feeling okay.
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing that I talk to my athletes about all the time, too, is it's good to have goals. It's good to have expectations for yourself. But at the end of the day, it's the little things every single day that if you can finish off the day satisfied with the effort that you put in, then that was a successful day. And if you can do that day after day and week after week and month after month, then you're going to be a good athlete, and things are going to continue to progress for you too. And
You've had some success this season already. You've had, 3 meets already, right?
we've had 3.
Let's see.
Yeah, 2 of them have been, well, our very first meet.
You had the BYU meet,
The
right?
BYU. That was mostly our sprint group, throws
Okay.
group. We didn't race hardly any distance athletes there. And then we had our home meet where we opened up
Right.
a lot of our athletes raced there, and that was kind of our first race. And then just this past weekend up at Idaho State.
Right, that's the Snake River?
Yeah.
Okay. And now you've got 3 big meets coming up, I guess, in different places. You'll send different athletes, different places, different directions.
Yeah, exactly. So track and field is a little bit different that way. Sometimes it's more beneficial for sprinters to go race at altitude, where it's better for distance runners to go race at sea level, throwers. Yeah, we do get split quite a bit throughout the season and then come back together for conference. And there's a lot of meets that we do go to the same meets, but there are a couple weekends where it's a little bit wild.
Are the athletes better now? I mean, in terms of their conditioning, the coaching that they've received before they ever get to a Weber State, that type of thing? Or are they still basically, sort of the same? You kids had the same level of talent back then when you were running?
I mean, I think that talent doesn't necessarily go away. There's always going to be talent coming in and all of that. I think what changes is the knowledge that high school coaches gain. So there are some high school coaches who are very, very good at what they do, and they get athletes to run faster than maybe athletes in the past would have run in high school. And there's also going to be those coaches that are doing the best they can and, putting a lot of effort into it, but just maybe don't have the background or the knowledge in different event areas. So maybe they haven't had as much progression in high school. So it really just depends on the state, on the high school, on the level, the opportunities that athletes can have. And so it depends. But there are a lot of things like new shoes that continue to develop. There's a lot of the training that continues to, so there's things that do keep progressing in the running world. So.
You'll appreciate this. We went up to Eugene with the basketball team at the beginning of this year. I believe it was the beginning of this year, end of last year. And we checked into a hotel called the Graduate Hotel, which is a monument to Nike, really. And have you been there?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's amazing. No. You've got to go and see this place. And I checked into the room, and one of the first things I noticed was a waffle iron lamp. And immediately I knew what it was, but I went to a couple of our players, and I said, do you have this waffle iron lamp in your room? And they go, yeah, what's that all about?
So you got to educate them.
Let me tell you the story. Let's see. He poured the stuff into the waffle iron, and that's what made the first Nike shoes. The soles of the first Nike shoes, Bill Bowerman, the track coach up there at that time. So have they made progress with the shoes now? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes. I mean,
they're better?
So much better. Even in the
who
last
knew?
10 years, there's been just such this evolution of the shoes.
In what way? Support the lightness of the shoe?
They have now these carbon plates in them.
No,
that
really?
Kind of, depending on how your stride is, it can really increase just your efficiency and how you strike the ground and the force that comes off and the direction that it comes off. Anyway, it's gotten pretty technical.
Wow.
And some athletes respond to it really, really well, some not quite as well, but it helps everybody. So so the shoes have been a big change for sure.
Wow, that's amazing. Hey, before I let you go, I'm going to do this. I know you're going to hate me for doing this. Coaches don't like to single out anybody, but is there an Amber Henry or a Charles Klinger or somebody people can look for if they're just, casual fans, somebody to keep an eye on?
Yeah, I mean, it is hard to just pinpoint one because
you love them all. I know.
Well, I love
they're
them
all
all.
your kids. Yeah, they're all your kids.
Absolutely. I would say, though, keep an eye on Charlotte Wilkinson. She's a freshman this year. She's starting and kind of came to us as more of a 400, 800 girl in high school, but only started doing the 800 at the end of her high school career. And she's going to be very, very good. She's one of those stubborn, extremely hardworking, humble, coachable kids. And so she's going to go very far. Really excited for her. And so I would say she's probably one on the track and field side to kind of keep your eye on and watch.
Okay. Well, great. Well, we'll do that. We know you got to get back. You've got an 8-month-old, right?
I do.
Yeah. How are you doing that? How you juggle all that? You've got 2 other kids. Now you've got this 8-month-old, and you've got 100 kids in your track and field program?
Yeah. I mean, I feel very fortunate for the situation that I'm in, where I feel a lot of support from Weber State, the administrators, in allowing me to bring Axon to practice and to track meets and just have him with me for a lot of that. I have a lot of family in the area that helps me out a lot with watching him during the day when I've got meetings or other things going on. So I feel very fortunate for the situation that we're in with having a new baby added.
Well, get some little track shoes for him, and we'll get him out there and start him running around.
Yeah, right now he looks more like a football player. So
no. Track. You can do this your whole life.
It's true.
That's the beauty of it. Lindsey, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck this season.
Thank you.
Lindsey Anderson from Morgan, Utah. And in the Hall of Fame, many Hall of Fames we probably even haven't thought about yet. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We could shoot for that.
Yeah,
We could do that. We'll get you into that.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for joining us on the Wildcat Coaches Show here from the young Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram dealership in Morgan, Utah. Come on up and visit them and support the Wildcats.
When I was 14, my dad worked for the Young Automotive Group, and on Saturdays, I started washing cars. And even at a young age, I knew that I had a potential career. I love the environment, I love the people, the relationships, they go beyond just work hours. The people I work with they become family. As my children have started to work for the company, it's fun to watch these relationships that have been forged over years, how it helps catapult them as well.
Back to wrap things up on the Wildcat Coaches Show, and joined by Brad Taylor, the general manager here at Young Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram in beautiful Morgan, Utah.
Beautiful.
I encourage people, drive up here. This is, if nothing else, it's a gorgeous drive.
You're 100% right. The drive is absolutely worth it. I live down in the Layton area, and I love the drive. The drive up, the drive home. It relaxes me. It's beautiful scenery.
I was going to say, it's got to be therapeutic, isn't it?
It actually is, yeah. Sometimes I'm driving home thinking about stuff at home. Sometimes I'm driving to work thinking about work. Sometimes I just cry the whole way home.
And that's a good place to do it, in the car.
It is, yeah. Now everybody knows, though.
Get it out of the system.
100%.
You get home, you're okay. You can deal with the family. Get here, you can deal with what's going on here.
Yep.
Just cry it out. That's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, very therapeutic.
I drive up here. I think I don't know if I've been in Morgan in maybe 15, 20 years. I don't know why I haven't, but I haven't. And I remember the last time I was up here, there was a small little dealership. I can't remember whose it was.
Yeah.
I think it was on the other side of the highway.
Yeah.
And it was and that was it.
Yeah.
And I drive up here today.
Yep.
It's like, whoa, a castle.
Yep, you're exactly right. So that was Kerrigan Motors. And we purchased it from them about 13, 14 years ago. And Brett Kerrigan still works for us here in parts.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's been a fixture here of the Morgan community. Young Automotive actually started here in the Morgan community.
Really?
100 years ago.
Wow.
And then moved down into the Layton area. And so we're very proud to be up here in the Morgan area. The community embraces us. The community has obviously grown, and it's a great community to be a part of.
I was going to say, this store is indicative of the growth
Yeah.
that has taken place up here.
Yeah.
This store wouldn't be here if you didn't have this kind of growth here.
Yep, you're 100% right. And one of the key parts of the Young Automotive Group is engaging and supporting the communities that surround us, and that is how we've done it. We've grown as a company because we engage the communities, and the communities have grown as we've interacted with them, and interacting and partnering with Weber State has been a huge piece of that for us as well.
I was going to say that's part of the engaging of the community with Weber State, and you guys have been gracious enough
thank you.
to supply the beautiful Jeeps for our coaching staff. 15, I believe?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, we donated 15 Jeep Gladiators to coaches of the various sports, and it's been a great partnership for us. Those Jeep Gladiators have the Wildcat on the side. I encourage my team members to snap a picture. I say, hey, take a picture of one out in the wild, put hashtag Waldo Wildcat or where's Waldo. And it's a lot of fun. We get a lot of comments, and it's fun to see them in here for oil changes or see them out on the road. It's a great way to support the university and also get our name out there as well.
And it's critical more and more these days. I know you're a sports fan, and we see what's going on in collegiate athletics right now, and it is the support from the business community is absolutely critical and essential if you're going to have a successful program.
It is. It used to be you sat in the bleachers and as a fan, and you supported as a fan, and then you had boosters, and now you got to put up some dollars to get some kids in here. And obviously with Weber State, the community is great, the school is great, obviously the programs are great, but these students need the fan support. We've had the opportunity as a Young Automotive Group to support in many ways with student athletes, and the more that we can support our community, support the university, it's good for all of us.
These cars are getting to be amazing, aren't they?
They really are. Yeah, I mean, the same old saying, they don't build them like they used to, and that's true. They build them way safer, way better, more electronics. I mean, half of them are driving themselves these days, but it's fun to be in the automotive industry.
They're so much fun to drive.
They are.
I would never I don't ever want to have a car that drives itself.
Yeah.
I want to drive it.
Yeah, I want to feel that power. I want to be able to change lanes safely with my blinker, right, obviously, but it's a fun industry. It's neat to see where things are at, where they're headed, and as a group, we're just excited for the future.
No, it's amazing. Well, Brad, thanks for having us up here.
You
We
bet.
appreciate not just today, but all the days that you guys are involved with Weber State University. It makes a big, big difference, and we appreciate that and are grateful.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it as well.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you so much.
Brad Taylor, the general manager up here at Young Chrysler. I want to make sure I say this right. Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. I don't think I've messed it up so far today.
You can't mess it up.
No, but that's
Get them
why,
all in there.
That's why I have my cheat sheets right here. Thanks, Brad.
Hey, thank you so much.
Great
Appreciate
to be
you
up
guys.
here, and we really do invite you to come up here. It's only about 15 minutes up from the Ogden Valley, and it's really worth it. They'll make it worth your while to come up here and then go by the Morgan Cafe. What's the chicken place? Larry's?
Larry's Spring Chicken.
Larry's Spring Chicken.
Yeah, exactly.
Get yourself some Larry's Spring Chicken for crying out loud, and get yourself a car up here in Morgan. Hey, thanks for watching. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time on the Wildcat Coaches Show.